Okay, when we think about Singapore's economic success in the next 50 years, we have to look back at the last 50 years and think about whether the reasons that caused us to be successful would still be there. Okay, this is one of the main reasons why Singapore is the success that it is. We are in a very strategic point for ships that go from Asia to Europe and vice versa. 120,000 ships pass by our ports every year. Now, the red line that you see, it cuts across a narrow strip of land in Thailand called the Kra Isthmus. It's only 44 kilometers wide, and the Thais have talked about building a canal there for the longest time. If a canal was built, it would cut shipping times by 3 days. 3 days times 120,000 ships is 360,000 days saved a year, which is 1,000 years saved every year. Now, the Thais have periodically talked about reviving this project, but there are no concrete plans as yet. But let me ask you this. In the next 30 to 50 years, if you were a rich billionaire Thai industrialist, would you think about investing in this project and own a port that would have the ships go from Europe to Asia? Now, this is a different route. This is the northern route. The polar ice caps have melted to such an extent that ships can now go over the Arctic to get from Asia to Europe. Last year, only 44 ships went that route. But the Russians and the Chinese are so excited about this route that they're pouring billions of dollars into investing in this route. This route cuts travel time by 20 days. And the Chinese estimate that in 20 years' time, 30% of the traffic that now travels the southern route would be able to take this route. So global warming is harming us in Singapore in more ways than one. What are some of the other reasons? The second most important reason has been our openness. We allow foreign multinationals to come into Singapore and own their businesses here completely, 100%. So they've given us a lot of jobs. That is not so for the neighboring countries around us. In Malaysia, in Vietnam, Indonesia, these have been protected markets, and foreign multinationals could not go into these countries and own their operations there. Or even if they do, their operations are extremely limited. But that is changing as well. I'm a co-founder of a financial institution in Singapore, and prior to 2008, we could not have an office in Malaysia. But now we have a subsidiary there, we have majority stake, and we're running the business. So our neighboring countries are also opening up and competing with us for foreign investments. What else? What has caused Singapore to be successful? Our infrastructure, our educated workforce. Infrastructure is just building and roads. And our neighboring countries are also investing a lot in that area. In fact, they're hiring Singaporean architects and planners to help them build better cities and ports. Educated workforce. We forget about how small Singapore is. If you look at the population numbers here, you see that the huge numbers of people that are in the region. I'm also an investor in an education consultancy service, and we've been looking at the education statistics in the region, and we see that our neighbors are investing very heavily in education, and the levels are rising tremendously. In 30 years' time, in 50 years' time, 10% of the smartest, most educated people in Indonesia would be 5 times our entire population. So if you want an educated workforce, there is your source. So businessmen like me like to quote from Sun Tzu, and he said, "Do not depend on the enemy not coming, but on your own readiness to meet them." A lot of our success as a country has been that our neighboring countries have not come to the party. They've kept their economies closed. They did not invest enough in infrastructure and education. But that is all changing, right? We see them opening up. We see them really coming into the spaces that we've been strong in. So what happens in the next 30 to 50 years when they catch up with all of us in all of these things? Now, I draw China as a parallel. We forget that in just 20 years ago, China was only the 8th largest economy in the world, behind Italy. Okay, 20 years now, because they opened up, because they invested in the right things, they are now the 2nd largest economy in the world. And the neighboring countries like Taiwan and Japan have declined in importance. right? So I draw that as an analogy. Indonesia has the fourth most populous country in the world, 280 million people, soon to have 300 million people. Would Singapore meet the same fate? Now, so what are we to do? What are we to do when our neighboring countries catch up in all of these things that has been our traditional strategic advantages? Okay, that is the only way, and I think you know the answer. We need to originate our own companies, our own ideas, our own products, and sell them to the world, right? The companies that used to come here may not come here anymore. They may go to the region because of their natural resources or because of their domestic size, or the size of the domestic market, because of all the other advantages that they have. We need to then depend on ourselves. Now, are we an inventive country? I think we have some very inventive individuals, but we don't have as yet an inventive culture as a country. So how do we become more inventive? I have 3 suggestions for you to practice. This is if you're still not in the inventive process yet, if you're still at work, if you're still in school, you can practice these things. 1, practice creating. Okay? Whether you write or design or shoot pictures, shoot videos, cook, practice origami, create something out of nothing and try to make it better and better all the time, right? As you're pushing yourself to make it more entertaining, more interesting, more intriguing, more informative, you are actually developing your creative sensibilities, and that would help you in the inventive process. 2, practice wasting. Okay, wasting is the younger cousin of failing. You can't really practice failure, but you can practice wasting. The inventive process is a multi-iterative one. It will take you many, many tries before you get it right. You look at the inventors of apps like Angry Birds, Instagram, Draw Something. They took many, many tries before they came up with the winning product. You cannot look at the final product that they did and say, why didn't you just do that in the first place? Okay, which Singaporeans like to do. We are very efficient people, we're very productive people. Every dollar that we spend, every ounce of effort, we want it to come to something. Okay? But it doesn't work in the inventive process. There's a lot of wastage, and you try and try again before you get it right. If you put in money and time in an inventive effort thinking you get it right immediately, you are going to have a heart attack, because that is not going to happen. Now, how do you practice wasting? You start to put your money and your time at risk. Invest your money in a few things, startups, financial products, and volunteer your time in a few organizations. Whether volunteer at a startup, volunteer at TEDx. The top side is you actually make money and you learn something meaningful. The downside is all this money is wasted and lost, and the effort is lost, but you build resilience for yourself. You practice wasting. It doesn't affect you so much because you have the experience of actually losing money and time, and you'll be a much stronger inventor later. Now, practice asking. To build anything, to invent anything, you need a lot of help. You need resources, you need money, you need know-how, you need context. Now, if you're shy about asking, you're not going to get very far. Okay? Asians are a bit shy about asking for help, asking for things. So we need to practice. Now, to help you, let me share with you this idea. Are human beings more inclined to say yes or no? What do you think? Are human beings more inclined to say yes or no? Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. No, 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 we will still be in the Stone Age. Yes, yes, yes is how we evolve. And so, when you practice asking, right, even for seemingly impossible things, when you share your dream with people and you ask for help, you find that they are very ready to help you. People around you want to believe that dreams can come true, that the impossible can happen. So if you're in the inventive process, you ask and you'll be amazed at the help that will come to you. Now, how do you practice asking? In your daily lives now, think of opportunities to ask for things that are a little bit scary for you. Okay? Don't just ask for things which you know you will get an easy yes answer. Okay? Ask for that promotion, ask for that difficult project, ask for a challenging assignment, ask for the date with that someone who's out of your league. Okay? It needs to be a little bit scary so that you get used to asking for help that will push you forward. So practice, practice, practice. We will become a more inventive culture. Singapore's future depends on it. Thanks.